So I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. I have r over 10 equals 1. What do I do to undo the division? I multiply. When I multiply both sides by 10, these 10s are going to have canceled out and leave me r equals 10. Some of them are easier than others. I'm going to tell you, when you get done, you have the ability to check to see if you're right. You go back to the original equation. And where this r is, what can I put in its place? 10. So I'd have 10 divided by 10 plus 1 equals 2. Well, what is 10 divided by 10? 1. Is 1 plus 1 equal to 2? Yes. So I can see that my answer checks. If it doesn't come out the same, then you know your answer was wrong, and you can go back out and rework it. No matter how complicated an algebra problem gets, you can always go back and check your work. On the second example that's up here, what do I have to do with this negative that's in front of these parentheses? I'm going to distribute it through the parentheses. So instead of being a positive 2, it's now a negative 2. Instead of being a positive b, it's now negative b, and it's equal to 3. Everybody with me where I distributed it? If I'm trying to get the variable by itself, I have to undo subtracting, or I have to undo a negative 2. How would I undo that? Positive 2. I now have a negative b, these would have canceled out, equals 5. No, is b by itself? What's in front of it? A negative. It's being multiplied by a negative. How do I undo multiplication? So I'm really dividing by a negative 1. A negative divided by a negative makes a positive. A positive divided by a negative makes a negative. So this is my answer. B equals negative 5. What can I do to make sure that I'm right? I can check it. And I'd write down negative, parentheses, 2 plus a negative 5 equals 3. What is 2 plus a negative 5? No, 2 plus a negative 5. It's a negative 3. But isn't a negative make a positive? So again, I can see that my answer checks. Are there questions on these first two examples? We all okay? Everybody got a copy that's copying? Am I good now? We're going to look at number 15 next. On number 15, if I'm trying to get this variable by itself, how do I undo this positive 4 that's here? I subtract 4 from both sides. I now have m over 4 equals 1. What's happening to my m? It's being divided, so to get rid of division, I multiply, and I multiply both sides by 4. These would cancel out, leaving me just m. And 1 times 4 is 4. And I'm going to check my work. 4 plus 4 over 4 equals 5. Well, what is 4 over 4? 1. 4 plus 1 equals 5. Obviously, that's true, so my answer checks. Everybody okay with number 15? Am I good? What am I going to do first on 19? There's one of two things that I can do. Somebody's got to tell me which one of them is. I'm going to distribute that. Negative 3 times n, negative 3n. Negative 3 times 1, negative 3. If I'm trying to get the variable by itself, how do I undo subtracting 3? Remember those integers we worked with earlier this year that we took a mastery test on? What's the rule about this negative 27 and the positive 3? How do I determine the sign? That's the first thing I want to do. The biggest number. So my sign is going to be negative. When they have different signs, do I add them or subtract them? So this is going to be a negative 24. Anybody remember doing them? I know we struggled some. What's my last step in this? Divide by a negative 3. A negative divided by a negative made my positive n. A negative 24 divided by a negative 3 is going to make a positive 8.
Why wouldn't you do the opposite, like negative 3? Positive 3.
Because the opposite of what I need is the opposite of multiplication, which is what? Division. The 3 wasn't being subtracted, it was being what? Multiplied. So the opposite of multiplication is division. What am I going to do at this point? I'm going to check it again. Negative 3, 8 plus 1 equals a negative 27. If I do order of operations, what is 8 plus 1? So I have a negative 3 times 9 equals a negative 27. Is a negative 3 times 9 equal to a negative 27? So my answer checks. Are there questions? We will probably spend about a week, maybe a week and a half, working with equations and solving them. And here's why. The first time you see equations in pre-algebra, you will get them as a system of equations. 2 equations, 2 unknown variables. They don't spend time in pre-algebra teaching you how to solve a simple equation. It's expected that you already know how to do it. So it's really important that we get a good foundation this year in solving an equation, so that when you see that system of equations in your pre-algebra class, that you're not completely lost. Okay? Questions so far? We all good? Your assignment today is to do what? Do the worksheet.